That's incredible. Did you know right away it was an airplane, or did you know when the second plane hit the other tower?
Had no idea about the second plane until we were down and out of the building. We didn't know right away. In fact, we didn't know what had happened. None of us did. It had nothing to do with being blind or not, which is another thing that people say, well, of course you didn't know because you couldn't see it. Think about the fact that we were on the south side of Tower 2 on the 78th floor, and the aircraft hit on the north side of the tower on, just to use a number, the 96th floor. How would anyone where I was know what happened? And the answer is they wouldn't. When we got to the stairs and we started down after we evacuated other people from my office, and David took them to the stairs and started down, specifically because I said, don't let them take elevators, because David had already seen fire above us. And so I knew that if fire happened to get into the elevator shafts, which it did, then people would perish. So I told David, don't let them take elevators, get them to the stairs, start them down the stairs, which was the right thing to do. So when we got to the stairs and started down, I began smelling an odor, and it took me about 4 floors to recognize that what I was smelling were the fumes from burning jet fuel. I did a lot of traveling in airports. I had over 100,000 miles of travel a year. And so it took me a while to realize that I was smelling the same thing I smelled in airports. And I observed that to other people and said, I'm smelling the fumes from burning jet fuel. And other people said, yeah, we were wondering what that smell is. We were wondering what's going on. We must have been hit by an airplane. And that's all we knew. Going down the stairs, we never felt any impact of the plane hitting Tower 2. We were in our own little world in the stairs and didn't feel a thing. So we had no idea actually what occurred until both towers had collapsed.
That's really a big deal that you guys were in. What was your reaction when Osama bin Laden, the guy behind it, was killed?
Ever since September 11th, people would ask me when the media got my story, what do you think about all of this? And I will answer you the way I answered them. This was not a religious war. This was not a religious attack. It was done by thugs who wanted to do it in the name of religion, but this is not the way the people of Islam behave. It is not really their core belief. These people tried to warp it, and they tried to bring the world to its knees, or at least the United States, because they've decided to create this picture of us being the great Satan. The great Satan is them. It's not Islam. It's not Christianity. It's not Judaism, Buddhism, or anything else. It was thugs who did a pretty good job that day. But I always felt that what I wanted for Osama bin Laden was justice. I didn't wish him dead. I wished him captured, actually. But when he died, and I actually got a call from an NBC reporter that morning about 2 a.m. He said, well, what do you think? Actually, I guess it was about 5 o'clock by the time we made connections. I said, he got justice, and we got justice for what he did, which is exactly what should happen.
Yeah, definitely. Did you think the same when Ayman al-Zawahiri was killed as well a few weeks back?
Sure. It's the same thing. I think that the reality is, as I said, they're warping religion, and it's not the way the faith really goes. And so he got justice for the things that he did, and it's not a surprise. I don't think that we have the right to kill any more than anyone else does, but when you're left with no option and it continues to happen, someone has to bring justice. And I'm not saying that it's a perfect world and that the United States hasn't done things that it shouldn't do, but no one deserved the kinds of things that the 19 terrorists perpetrated on us on September 11th. And the reality is that people don't want to talk and deal about it. They don't want to understand. And we have people in this country that are the same way. We have a whole series of politicians who absolutely don't want to deal with understanding. They don't want to deal with peace. And that's also unfortunate because it makes it harder for the rest of us.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So this is the last question I have for now before our next few episodes down the road. But what are your hopes for the future?
Well, I hope we can get beyond all the hatred. I think that, let's take the United States. We have a number of people, and I side with those who say this, that we have a number of people who don't really care about the rule of law anymore. They want things to be their way. Does that make them any better than a lot of the people that we faced and had to deal with over the years? And the answer is not really. So I hope we get beyond that. I hope enough people really analyze for themselves what is going on and look at the data themselves rather than just believing someone without thinking about it personally. Because I think they will get a different view if they do. But also in other parts of the world, I think it's important that the same thing needs to occur. We've got to develop better lines of communications, and we've got to move beyond all this hatred. You've got, for example, Russia and Ukraine. There is no doubt that Russia perpetrated this, and there's going to have to be justice somewhere along the line. Absolute worst case, well, not worst case scenario, but the ultimate scenario is it's going to be between like Putin and God. You know, the reality is the people who are doing the things that are being done are going to have to answer to somebody somewhere. And maybe that'll happen in this lifetime that we'll see or not. But we've got to get beyond all of this, and we've got to get to the point where we collectively, as a people, as a race on this earth, recognize that we don't have the right just to force our will on other people, and that we need to learn to live peacefully. And we can do that.
We definitely can. That's a good perspective, man. So that's all we have for now, but where can people find you?
They can visit us at www.michaelhingson.com. That's MichaelHingson.com. I mentioned podcast earlier, and they can read about Unstoppable Mindset, where inclusion, diversity, and the unexpected meet. And they can do that at www.michaelhingson.com/podcast, or wherever podcasts are available, because it's being displayed and hosted wherever there are podcasts. I also work for a company called Accessiby, which works to help make websites more usable for persons with disabilities. Accessiby is spelled ACCESSI and the website is www.accessibe.com. So people can go learn about that, because it's a way to start to work to make websites more inclusive. And it's a difficult task, and we should talk about that in one of the other episodes. But right now, roughly 98% of all websites don't really do a lot to make themselves, or the owners don't make their websites inclusive. And that number is growing because there are more and more websites being added every day, and we've got to deal with that.
Yeah, definitely. All right. We thank you for coming on the show, and we wish you luck this month. And everybody, let's have a moment of silence for the victims of 9/11. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You. My pleasure, and I'm glad to have been here and looking forward to our next time.
All right. So everybody, please check him out on those websites he mentioned, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of Relentless and Unstoppable.